Good evening. You're watching India Votes. I'm Sana Khan. The world's largest democracy gears up to head to polls starting next month, with polling to be stretched over 9 rounds lasting 34 days. This general election will be the most protracted so far. And we at Rajya Sabha TV bring you all the election updates. Let's take a look at some of the stories that we'll be telling you what's happened on the poll front. First up, Rahul Gandhi will be kicking off he has kicked off his Congress's poll campaign in the state of West Bengal, while Aam Aadmi Party's Arvind Kejriwal has faced some protest in Varanasi during his roadshow. Also, several political heavyweights will have filed their nominations today. That includes Congress's Sachin Pilot, Lalu Prasad's daughter, and several others. Stay tuned. We'll be getting you all those details in just a bit. Let's begin with Aam Aadmi Party's convener Arvind Kejriwal, who is in Varanasi to seek what he calls a referendum whether he should challenge BJP's Prime Ministerial nominee Narendra Modi from the seat. But he faced protests through the day. Meanwhile, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi kicked off party's campaign in West Bengal. Here's a look at some of the big political rallies held today.
Aam Aadmi Party leader Arvind Kejriwal arrived in Varanasi on Tuesday to a hostile reception. Eggs were thrown at Kejriwal's car outside the Kashi Vishwanath temple, with the protesters steadily raising anti-Kejriwal slogans and asking him to leave the city. Later, protesters threw black ink at the Aam Aadmi Party chief during his roadshow in Varanasi. But Kejriwal remained defiant. As announced by the party earlier, Kejriwal will seek people of Varanasi's opinion on whether he should contest against Modi at this holy city.
मोदी जी से चुनाव लड़ना वो तो एक छोटी चीज है और देश को बचाना इस टाइम भ्रष्टाचार से और महंगाई से देश को बचाना वो बड़ी बात है.
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi kicked off his party's poll campaign in West Bengal today. He addressed a rally in Nagarkata. He slammed Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee for lack of development in the state. He also blamed her government for not utilizing central funds for several projects.
करोड़ों रुपए हम भेजते हैं बंगाल की सरकार के लिए और दुख की बात यह है कि पैसा दिल्ली से आ जाता है, बंगाल कलकत्ता आ जाता है, मगर यहाँ आपके हाथों में नहीं पहुँचता है.
Listing out the achievements of the UPA government, Rahul said the Congress wants to make the country a superpower by empowering women, youth and minorities.
आपके पैरों के नीचे भी हम एक फर्श लगाना चाहते हैं, अधिकार की फर्श बनाना चाहते हैं कि आपको भी लगे हिंदुस्तान में हमारे लिए जगह है.
Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar also held a rally in Kaimur district of Bihar.
आज बिहार अपने बलबूते पर तरक्की कर रहा है. जब अपने बलबूते पर तरक्की कर रहा है तो अभी वो वक्त है कि हमें विशेष तौर पर मदद दी जाए. हम तेज रफ्तार से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, लेकिन इस रफ्तार से आगे बढ़ते रहेंगे 20 साल 25 साल, तब भी जो देश का औसत विकास के विभिन्न जो मापदंड हैं उस पर हम उसका अगर औसत निकालें तो उस औसत तक पहुंचने में लगेगा.
The JDU hopes to ride on its development work in Bihar to repeat its performance in the last elections. Like his rival RJD, Nitish Kumar's party is also battling dissidents. On Monday, one of its Lok Sabha candidates, Sabir Ali, was expelled from the party. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And a host of prominent leaders filed their nomination papers for the upcoming Lok Sabha polls today. Union Ministers Sushil Kumar Shinde and Sachin Pilot, RJD Chief Lalu Prasad's daughter Mesa Bharti were some of them. BJP's candidate in Barmer, Sonaram Chaudhary, too filed his papers. He will contest against senior colleague Jaswant Singh, who chose to enter the fray as an independent after being denied a ticket from Barmer.
BJP leader Sonaram Chaudhary filed his nomination papers from Barmer Lok Sabha constituency. Accompanied by his supporters, he presented 2 sets of nominations. With the backing of Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje, the Congress defector joined BJP last week and will take on veteran leader Jaswant Singh. He had yesterday filed his nomination as an independent candidate from Barmer.
राजनीति में मेरे से बहुत सीनियर हैं, उम्र में भी बड़े हैं, तो मैं बहुत इज्जत करता हूं उनकी. उसके बारे में मैं क्या हुआ क्या उसमें मैं उसकी टिप्पणी करने लायक नहीं सर. ऐसे कुछ तो देखो हर जगह आप जानते हो कुछ ना कुछ होता है. अब मैं तो बिल्कुल होम कमिंग है. ये भी बहुत नेशनल पार्टी है.
Union Minister and Rajasthan PCC Chief Sachin Pilot also filed his nomination from Ajmer Lok Sabha seat. Ajmer will go to polls on April 17th in the 5th phase of elections. The Corporate Affairs Minister and sitting MP is fighting against BJP candidate and Rajasthan Water Resources and PWD Minister Sanwar Lal Jat. Home Minister Sushil Kumar Shinde also filed his nomination from the Solapur constituency from Maharashtra. RJD Chief Lalu Prasad's daughter Misa Bharti also filed her nomination papers. She is contesting from Patliputra in Bihar. Another JDS senior leader HD Devagowda has filed his nomination papers from Hassan.
Political party in every state is fighting place on their own and with the local circumstances is Rajya Sabha. Local circumstances. Now I have to fight this battle only on projecting the injustice happened to the state of Karnataka by the two national parties.
Meanwhile, nomination papers of 156 candidates in Delhi for 7 constituencies were found in order after scrutiny. Nominations of 51 candidates were rejected. The last date for withdrawal of nominations is 26th March. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in more news, BJP today ridiculed Congress leader Digvijay Singh for his remark that in fact Sushma Swaraj would be a better Prime Minister than Narendra Modi. The reaction came after Congress leader said Sushma Swaraj's acceptability factor was higher than that of Modi. He listed out factors that are in favour of Sushma Swaraj amid its turmoil over ticket distribution. BJP said it does not need Congress's advice on picking its prime ministerial nominee. Sushma Swaraj, who has served as leader of opposition in the 15th Lok Sabha, has recently expressed her disappointment over the party's decision to drop Jaswant Singh in Barmer. Congress feels there is a difference between the moderate and hardliners within the BJP over ticket distribution.
She is not from the hardcore right-wing ideology.
Okay.
She started her career with Jayaprakash Narayan movement, and has been against the hard wing ideology of the BJP and the Sangh.
Over to Orissa now. We're undertaking a massive change in the list of candidates for both the Lok Sabha and Assembly elections. BJD Supremo Naveen Patnaik has now denied tickets to 35 sitting MLAs and 6 MPs. Among the sitting MPs, key leaders like Mohan Jena and Lakshman Tudu were denied tickets by the BJD. Mayurbhanj MP Lakshman Tudu was replaced by sitting MLA Ramchandra Hansa. There are 3 prominent leaders and former ministers among sitting MLAs who have been denied tickets. Former Finance Minister Prafulla Gadai, former Law Minister Raghunath Mohanty, former Energy Minister Kalandi Behera and former Women and Child Development Minister Anjali Behera is not on the list of candidates. The list contains names of candidates for 147 Assembly seats and 21 Lok Sabha constituencies. And the BJP launched its party anthem for the 2014 elections on Tuesday. The song is titled Main Desh Nahi Mitne Dunga. The song also incorporates portions of speeches delivered by party's prime ministerial candidate Narendra Modi. It was released by senior party leader Arun Jaitley in the presence of other top leaders. The anthem is written by famous lyricist Prasoon Joshi and sung by singer Sukhwinder Singh. It has been composed by famous music composer Adesh Srivastav. Tracking another one of our top stories. Enraged over the repeated attacks on the party by his elder son and suspended leader M.K. Allagri, DMK chief M. Karunanidhi today expelled him from the party. He said the decision was taken after Allagri failed to reply on the show cause notice asking him to explain his alleged indiscipline. The party said Allagri had not abstained from public criticism of the party in recent months.
DMK chief Karunanidhi's son M.K. Allagri has been left without a party just ahead of the Lok Sabha polls. He was formally expelled from the party by his father on Tuesday. He was earlier suspended in January for indiscipline after campaign against his younger brother M.K. Stalin, who was chosen by Karunanidhi as his political successor. Announcing the decision, the party patriarch said Allagri failed to reply to the notice, asking him to explain his alleged indiscipline.
திமுகவை விமர்சிக்கின்ற வகையிலும் திமுக தலைவர்களை விமர்சிக்கின்ற வகையிலும் பேசிக் கொண்டிருப்பதாலும் கடந்து கொண்டிருப்பதாலும் நானும் பொதுச் செயலாளர் பேராசிரியர்களும் இன்றைக்கு கலந்து பேசி அவர் அறவே நீக்கப்படுகிறார் கட்சியில் இருந்து என்பதை தெரிவித்திருக்கிறோம்.
The action comes in the backdrop of Allagri lending his support to Narendra Modi, the BJP's prime ministerial candidate. He said he would welcome Modi as prime minister. Karunanidhi's action also comes in the wake of bitter rival MDMK leader Vaiko, who is aligned with BJP-led NDA, meeting Allagri. He sought Allagri's support for his Virudhunagar Lok Sabha candidature. This was followed by candidates of BJP and Congress calling on him for drumming up support for themselves. Amid all these developments, Allagri kept the cards close to his chest on his future political moves. He said that he would take a decision after consulting all his supporters. The DMK had last week warned party workers against having any talk with Allagri after he started holding meetings of his supporters. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
We take a very short break on India Votes. I'll be back with lots more news. Stay tuned. You're watching India Votes. Now, as part of our special election coverage, we bring you certain reports under the branding Agenda 2014s that focus on big issues that could have an impact on these elections. Now, reservation in jobs and education for sections in society was mandated for the creation of a level playing field for all. Instead, down the years, the issue has taken on a strong political hue, with the quota regime being used to create vote banks. Here's a special report.
आर्थिक आधार पर आरक्षण की बात सिद्धांत तक कही जाए और ये बात सामने आए और उसे पूरा किया जाए.
The words raised a massive political storm, highlighting the political color of India's system of affirmative action, better known as reservations. In election season, the issue has drawn the renewed interest of contesting parties, all eager to hold on to old vote banks while creating new ones. Several parties have called for widening the ambit of reservations to benefit more sections.
हमारा ये मानना भी है कि माइनॉरिटी को भी आरक्षण मिलना चाहिए, क्योंकि माइनॉरिटियों की में तमाम लोगों की आज हालत उन गरीबों से ज़्यादा बदतर है जो गरीब आरक्षण की श्रेणी में आ रहे हैं, तो उनके साथ भी इंसाफ होना था, न्याय होना चाहिए.
Down the decades, questions have arisen on whether the issue has become only a political one or one that has to be discussed from the view of public interest and justice for all.
1947 के बाद में हमने वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में इसको इतना डाइल्यूट कर दिया कि उसमें फिर ट्राइबल का शेड्यूल जोड़ा, उसके बाद में एक ऐसा वेग कलम ऐड कर दिया जिसमें कि रिजर्वेशन वुड बी इन ओपन एंडेड काइंड ऑफ सिस्टम. द एजुकेशनली और सोशली बैकवर्ड करके जो भी लोग हैं वो सरकार तय करेगी कि कौन से लोग हैं उनको भी रिजर्वेशन दिया जाए.
From a need to do away with reservations on one hand, calls have also arisen to extend their ambit to the private sector.
प्राइवेट सेक्टर को नया जो कंपनीज एक्ट आया है उसमें भी और उसके अलावा बातचीत में भी ये बहुत बार कहा गया है कि अपने आप वो अगर लागू करें उनका भी फायदा है, लोगों का भी फायदा है, राष्ट्रहित भी है, जनहित भी है. तो इसके लिए मैं समझता हूँ सबसे पहला कदम तो एक वॉलंटरी होना चाहिए.
Critics of reservation have said the system compromises efficiency over representation for all. The debate continues. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And for a more in-depth look at this debate between the effectiveness and shortcomings of reservations down the decades, watch our special program, Politics of Reservation, Agenda 2014. That's tonight at 10:30. Now, moving on, Union Petroleum Minister and former Chief Minister of Karnataka, Veerappa Moily, is confident that the Congress will get at least 22 seats in the state. Moily will defend his seat in Karnataka's Chikkalabarappur constituency. Our correspondent Raj Kamal Rao caught up with him.
One thing is my performance. There is a very good record of performance last 5 years in Chikkalabarappur. You know, I conducted 2 mega employment melas in my constituency, not only to cater to the employment to the youth, educated, also uneducated, not only in my constituency, but all over Karnataka. I extended that benefit to, and more than 15,000 youth got employment out of it.
You have another former Chief Minister contesting against you. So are you feeling competitive with him, or what is the status there?
No, see, whenever, I have been in the electoral battle since last 45 years. Who contest against me, that is not my, and I don't want to win them over also. Let them contest, whoever wants. It is an open field. In a democracy, it's good. And whether Mr. Kumaraswamy will come and contest against me or not, still it is uncertain, because he is changing his mind every day, every minute. And unless he firms up and files a nomination, till that time I don't want to comment.
Last question. Aam Aadmi Party is also fielding a candidate against you, because they have fielded 15 candidates in Karnataka state. One of the candidates is against you. So do you think the party is capable of coming and understanding the Karnataka politics?
I don't know. They don't have any presence in my constituency till today. What will happen tomorrow, I don't want to speak about.
Last question. How many number of seats that the Congress may expect from Karnataka this time?
Karnataka, out of 28, minimum 22 seats, and it may go even up to 25. Because, the BJP, people have seen the misrule, the, the looting of the iron ore here, and, more than 15 the ministers had gone into jail, including a former chief minister. With all that, I don't think the people, it is all green in their memory. So I don't think, this can be reconciled. So BJP, and that BJP, is a party which will go down. It will not come out.
Now, suicides by farmers in the Veerappa region is one of the prominent issues in the upcoming elections. The series of deaths started 11 years ago in the region. To this day, the region has no solution to the problems of the place. Here's a report from the Bot Badan village in Maharashtra.
Buddhan is a remote village in Maharashtra's Yavatmal district. 11 years ago, it was like any other Indian village, obscure and largely insignificant in national politics. All that changed in 2003 when Shankar Rathore committed suicide, a farmer. Rathore was heavily under debt. The last straw proved to be a drought that destroyed his crops. The death set off a chain of suicides by farmers in Veerappa.
इस बारी में खेती में नापिकी हुई थी, इसलिए फसल सब बर्बाद हो गई। घर में खाने के कुछ नहीं थे और खेत में कुछ भी नहीं होता और लोगों का कर्ज था ऊपर से और बैंक के लोग ऊपर से आकर परेशान करते थे और इसी कारण से पापा ने सुसाइड कर लिया।
The chain of suicides continues to this day. In a population of barely 1,000 villagers, 26 farmers have embraced death. They found it the easier option than repaying their debts swelled by interest. Debts they were forced to contract to buy seeds or to marry off their daughters.
आत्महत्या का मुख्य कारण नापिकी है। जो साहूकार लोगों से जो ये किसान कर्जा लेते, वो कर्जा वापस नहीं दे पाते और ऊपर से उनका प्रेशराइज होकर
Even after over 6 decades after independence, this village has no rail connectivity. After the suicides, UN fact-finding teams, American Senate delegates and prominent Indians have visited the place. But there haven't been any solutions to the social-economic problems of the place. Villagers claim no house has access to over 2 kilograms of food grains. They squarely blame the government for their plight, but the government calls it a tragedy of nature.
उसका कारण ये है कि इरिगेशन कम है हमारे यहाँ, तो इरिगेशन का बहुत बड़ा काम करेंगे। हमारे यहाँ औद्योगिकरण वैसे भी बहुत कम है क्योंकि हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में काफी जगह भी खाली है। हम चाहते हैं कि ये दोनों विषय जो है इरिगेशन और इंडस्ट्री, ये एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन की बहुत बड़ी ताकत है।
In a desperate attempt to escape the vicious cycle of poverty, the villagers are ready to even sell off their land. But there are a few buyers in this region.
Experts are saying that the condition of farmers in the whole country is almost the same. But the Vidar farmer is facing double problem of the government's careless attitude as well as the natural calamities. Ravindra Singh Shoran in Yavatmal for Rajya Sabha TV.
Another report. For the first time in 55 years, the Tibetan diaspora in the country has been given voting rights by the Election Commission. Those born in India between 1950 and 1987 would be entitled to cast their votes in the upcoming elections as Indian citizens.
In a landmark decision by the Election Commission, Tibetans living in exile in India will be able to take part in the country's biggest electoral exercise. The Commission has directed all state bodies to allow registration of Tibetan refugees as Indian voters. Young Tibetans who've been living in India since birth are rejoicing the decision. Elder members of the community, however, are skeptical. They think such rights could dilute their half-a-century-old struggle to return to their homeland.
If the giving voting list is voting right is meant for giving the citizen, then we shall have to give up the Tibetan citizenship because India does not have the provisions for holding dual citizenship.
Few Tibetans that I have been discussing with, they are like reluctant to register as an Indian voter, thinking that it may have some other implications on their daily lives, such as like refugee benefits that they may have been getting from other agencies.
The decision to allow voting rights to the Tibetans in exile is likely to benefit more than 120,000 refugees living across the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
That's all we have for you in today's edition of India Votes. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, with more election news. Till then, goodbye.